Many men within the sound of my voice, we know either intuitively or intellectually, just looking at the signs, that there is something that is about to take place. We can feel it in our bones, we can see it with our eyes. That there is an event, although specifically what that event will be and entail is unknown. But there will be an event. Whether that event is something natural, such as the big earthquake that's expected to one day hit California and the rest of the United States, that would divide this continental plate. If you put in a YouTube search or a Google search for the new United States Navy map, which shows different states broken up and new waterways being created, from the fault line that sits in California, or the fault line that sits going through Illinois all the way down south to the Mississippi River, called the New Madrid or New Madrid fault line. An event like that is likely, or at least probable. Whether it's a coronal mass ejection, when sun flares from the sun catapult to the earth, knocking out satellites and electrical grids, which would take years to prepare, which would be pretty much a universal or at least continental blackout of certain nations and regions. Or whether it be Yellowstone, the caldera, blowing its top, which many scientists expect to happen because it's past due. And we are past due for a huge, life-changing event that would affect everyone on this planet that we live on. Or whether it be in the form of economic collapse, as the economies of Europe and the United States struggle to keep afloat, with the United States debt being about 17 trillion, which is really a cover-up, because when you add in unfunded liabilities such as Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and other government financial instruments, that debt is said to be over 200 trillion, to the tune to like 70% of every dollar in circulation has to be borrowed. So 70 cents on the dollar, could be more or less. And the global economy in itself, which is interrelated to the United States, is basically in trouble. So whether it be economic collapse or natural disaster, or even World War III, as the saber rattling between Russia and the United States continues to rev up, a new Cold War seems to be on its way. There's already an economic Cold War as nations around the earth seek to get rid of the dollar as their world reserve currency. That oil and other materials being purchased in dollars, nations such as China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, and India, which are called the BRICS nations, choose to deal outside of the petrodollar to develop their own means of trade, with other nations coming into the fold, the nations of Africa, who we know is rich in resources. So there is an event. Will there be a global war? Will there be a World War III scenario? Likely. Maybe not in the near future, but we know that Russia is building up its military. We know that China is building up its military. And we know that the United States is becoming weaker. Almost seems inevitable. But what will happen when the lights go out? What will the black female do? Or any female? What will she do when the lights go out? Women who walk around with this pride and arrogance, being supported by the state, the court system, welfare and child support and alimony, all the laws on the books favor women in this man-hating society that we live in, that gives benefits and privileges to women, what will she do when the government is no longer there? What will she do when the grocery stores, when the shelves are empty? What will she do? Who's going to save her then? As the white knight and the manginas show their cowardice and run themselves, who's going to take care of any individual's female? The single black female, the independent white woman, the women who say they don't need men, the feminist. What will she do? Those who can't fish, who can't hunt, who don't have the wherewithal or the sense or the intelligence to prepare for what's happening. And I hope, whether you be MGTOW or just a conscious black person, no matter who you may be in the sound of my voice, I hope that you are intelligent enough to see the signs, the writing on the wall, that something is going to happen. So whether that's storing food, buying guns and bullets, get ready. And I'm sure most men understand these things. But what will she do? If you ever saw this movie called The Road, I forgot the particular actor's name. I'm sure it's a couple of movies by that title. They showed an aftermath of something. They didn't say exactly what the event was. But what we see is complete and utter chaos. The collapse of infrastructure. What will she do when the United States hegemony comes to an end? The imperialistic society which we live in, when it loses all of its power. Who's going to feed her? Who's going to protect her? The female that needs no one but the government. The female that walks around with her pride and her arrogance, who wants to be worshipped as a god. What will this goddess do when the lights go out? When out of hunger, men will band together and rove around the cities in gangs, looking to rape, kill, and pillage for their very survival. What will she do? What will the woman do who claims that she will never share a man? Who's anti-polygyny? Who wants a man as her possession? What will she do when her very safety is threatened in her life? Who will protect her children? What will she do? What will this man-hating society do? The women who say that they need nothing from a man, when everything a woman has been provided for by a man. From the shoes that she wears, the clothes that she wears, to the telephone in her hand, to the food in her belly, all provided for by men. What will she do when that resource is no longer there? What will the black community look like with all the single man-hating mothers out there? When there's already not many grocery stores in the black community, not many resources, what will she do when there's no more government help? When the job that she goes to and she depends on in corporate America closes its doors? What will she do? Will she need a man then? Will she play her role then? And what will you do, men? Will you save her? Will you sacrifice yourself so that she can eat? Will you play the role that you've always played, which is sacrificing your life for any and every individual female that you come across? Will you help that woman getting raped? Will you run out there and save her? What will you do? What will she do? What will happen if there is a worldwide pandemic of Ebola or what have you? Where will the white knights be? Where will the manginas be then? And then those who are wise, who will go and live in an off-grid community or location somewhere with solar panels and farmland. And there's a massive die-off of individuals, especially Americans, and it's time to rebuild. What will the new society look like? Will we revert back to our old ways of feminism and promotion of the female? Will we want to reinstitute matriarchy? Or will there be a patriarchy? Will MGTOWs live? What will she do? What will you do when the collapse happens? When there's no law, there's no police to come and save you. There's no military, no government to come and save you. What will you do? That's my question.